Hi there, it's Paulie here. So I live in Perth, Western Australia. Take a moment and check it out on Google Maps. Yeah, we are near nothing. Most isolated capital city on Earth. However, if you like beaches, whale sharks, and quokkas, this is definitely the place to be. So about a year ago, we got a new city council in and a new Lord Mayor. The Lord Mayor, very kind of British title, but that's basically the mayor of the central city. This is the important city council, but there was an entirely new council voted in. Now, the Lord Mayor was a kind of a morning radio show guy, bit of a lad. So literally the first thing he did, like he got news of being elected in the evening. He's there on radio 8 a.m. the next morning, and the first thing he does is make a whole bunch of anti-trans jokes on radio. So the trans community just starts tearing him a new asshole online. It's like, this is just absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting behaviour for someone who's supposed to be an Australian elected official. We're not like the States. Decorum is all, not acceptable. And one of the first things that this new council decided to do is have this open town hall meeting in the Central City Town Hall, meet the constituents. Fantastic. So there was lots of people shaking their ickle fists and saying, yeah, we're going to come and we're going to, demand to know what the hell this guy means by all of this. And I don't know. As the day approached, I could just see, yeah, they're not going to turn up. So I just turned up. I decided I'd just do it. Now, as you've seen in my main videos, the way I dress in those videos is actually how I normally dress. This is exercise dress. I've just been at dance, well, apart from all my amazing skirts. But, so I was dressed, I think, what was it now? Oh, I was dressed like a Byzantine princess, in fact. Purple lace, Japanese obi belt, cat ears. And so I just turned up. And I walked in, and there was, a bit of a strange environment. Everyone's kind of looking. It's like, oh, Christ. I've never seen a trans woman before. They're going to spit the dummy. But no, there was a couple of senators over there who came over to say hello. There were some serious politicians that turned up for this thing. So I made sure I was front and centre. And out came this new Lord Mayor, Basil. And go, well, okay, well, I was only, he gave his opening speech, and then are there any questions? So front and centre, you could see me there, and you could just see, oh no. Hello. So I asked my questions. Given what you've said, is this indicative of the council's attitudes towards LGBT people? Will this be forming policy? To what extent is your, treating as second-class citizens going to really mould policy in the city? It was interesting because he went into an apology. Now, I'll link it. I actually filmed it with this very phone, in fact, and I'll put the link to it down there. But he actually made a very long and very thoughtful apology. Now, yeah, politician, might just be making noises, but I think his wife tore him a new asshole, to be quite honest. He was playing with his wedding ring as he's talking, so it sounds to me like his better half is basically, what did you do? But he did actually seem quite sincere. So I went over and talked with him afterwards, and now look, I'm an old Hollywood spin doctor, so he's talking, yeah, look, I just thought it was worth a few laughs on radio, and I didn't really think about what that meant. So I had to say, look, you're an elected official now. You've got to think at that higher plane. But on the other hand, you've made a public apology. I said, look, and there's nothing wrong with that. And can I just get that through to everyone? The great Taoist thing is to recognise that you're not infallible. To say, I am in error, thank you for pointing that out, I will try to do better, is not a demeaning thing. In fact, it's indicative of a deal of intelligence and of moral maturity. To understand that you've screwed up, but to say you were willing to do better is a good thing, and it's something that people actually respect. Someone that doubles down and that just digs in like a tick, no, I'm infallible. that is usually indicative that that person is a twant. Don't trust people like that, particularly in politics. But this guy actually seemed to show that he was, willing to go the hard yards, and the rest of the council came over. So, we were talking, and yes, so what has to be done is you've made the apology. Now you have to engage with the communities that you've kind of belittled and show that you've engaged with them. Do your sensitivity training, talk with them, meet with representatives, and then maybe come up with policies and so on after consulting. Well, I was incredibly impressed, because what the council then did was decide it was going to launch a whole inclusivity push to make policy. Because when I kind of talked with the Lord Mayor and said, look, there's an opportunity here, because Perth is kind of renowned for actually being a little bit of a cultural hotspot, because we have to make our own entertainment. But it says if we have the ability to make really good inclusivity policy, and not just for LGBTQ people, but for First Nations people, for the aged and disabled, for migrant communities, all these different minority communities, then that will echo out, because other cities in the state will copy Perth's lead on this. But West Australia very frequently takes a lead in these sorts of things. That means other capital cities will start to do the same. There is an opportunity here to do an immense amount of good, which they were very excited by, and they did it right. So I stayed engaged with this thing the whole time along. What they did was they got representatives from different communities. They consulted with them, and they got good ideas from them about what could be done to make life better for everybody. But then they put out general calls to come in to meetings and workshops and things. Come in, meet the council, meet the council reps, put down your suggestions and go through questionnaires and so on with them. They did online stuff and whatever, but the workshops, the face-to-face ones, were really interesting, because, and I turned up to these, and again, I think I was the only trans person. Now, what was quite funny about that initial meeting was a senator came over to me afterwards and was just about crying with laughter. Chris said, "Oh, you didn't notice?" I said, "How you got a funny look when you went in?" I said, "Yeah." I said, how in a Wild West movie, how there's that moment when the top gunfighter walks in through the swinging doors in the saloon, and suddenly the guy that's playing the piano stops. Ding, 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 ding. And the guys all playing cards stop. Everyone at the bar stops, and they'll just turn and stare as the gunfighter walks in. Ching, ching, ching. It was that moment. Says you walked in, and that's why it was like funny. We weren't like there was this because says I'd just been talking to people, and I said, "Oh well, Basil, the Lord Mayor, he said this and that, and I think there was a bit of a," and says, "And then you swept in, just like literally the Empress of Byzantium," and someone leaned over to me and said, "Oh my God, they sent someone." She said the implication that somewhere the committee of the trans agenda has met and decided to activate agent number 275. Release the Kraken was just too damn funny. Oh God! But yeah, I being a hideous opportunist, no, being a decent and engaged citizen, I stayed engaged with the whole thing. So I stayed on these on all these action committees and groups and so on. I just turned up again. I think I was the only one that turned up consistently through all of this stuff. I was just there, and I went to their other open meetings and all their town hall things just to make sure that I'm always there. Hi, watching. As a result, it's an awful lot of senators and MPs that know me now, which is kind of cool. But so now, a few months ago, there is an invitation comes to go to a huge presentation at the town hall and everything, and this is it. They've gone through all of the different suggestions and so on, and here is the new inclusivity policies for the city of Perth. And they were wonderful. New laws actually enacted, actual finance behind them, actual people with responsibility to make sure that these programs are done, that these laws are made, that these facilities are funded. There's actual funds and backing, and it's being done. Fantastic. And not just for LGBTQ, but they consulted with First Nations and the disabled community and the aged community and the different migrant communities. So, as you can see, I've been off Bollywood dancing. We're a very multicultural city, but this means that multiculturalism is even more embraced. So that's why we have such a wealth of these really rich kind of Hindu festivals going on, Chinese festivals going on, Scottish festivals going on, Indonesian, Malay, fabulous. We're a modern cosmopolitan city. All of these ethnicities have their cultures recognized and celebrated, and festivals funded and so on, because it makes things better for everyone. It's really nice being brought in. The Lord Mayor actually thanked me. Said thanks for staying engaged, and thanks for being there on that first day and putting us on the spot. I think we've done good here, and quite a thing actually to be handed a folio of actual law and combing through it and point at it and say, I did that one. That's my suggestion. I was there on the committee that, proposed and voted that one. I'm just a person. I am not sent by the trans community. I just turned up and stayed engaged. But that engagement actually turned out to create good things for my fellow citizens. It's a better city now. Okay, so Australia, particularly Western Australia, has that Australian Diggergeist. All for one and one for all. You don't let your mates down, ever. So, I volunteer for things like our elections. I help run polling booths and polling stations and these sorts of things, because it makes this process run better. It makes democracy run better. I'm willing to put in a couple of incredibly boring days counting votes and ushering people in lines and guarding ballot boxes and so on, because it makes it a better place. That's engagement. Running around waving guns, spreading conspiracy theories, or shaking your little fisty poos, or particularly screaming away at people online, that's not helping anybody. But it's possible for individuals to actually make a difference by having decorum, by having a will to be politely and helpfully engaged. We can all get in there and make things happen. I'd really like to encourage everyone to do it, to look at your community and so on, and instead of asking, what can I get, ask, how can I help? That's all. Just ask, is there a way I can pitch in and help? And do it. Don't talk about it, just do it. More of that. Less keyboard warring equals better world. Just my thoughts anyway. All right. Anyway, bye. Bye from the trans agenda.